President Donald Trump is back in the White House, and he's wasting no time carrying out his campaign promises. Yesterday, he signed a slew of executive orders, including one to end birthright citizenship, though that will have to survive the legal challenges that are sure to come because birthright citizenship is enshrined in the Constitution. Another ends diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within the federal government, and one declares a national emergency to allow for more drilling. Joining me this morning to discuss these executive orders is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning to you.
A lot to dive in here.
Yes.
Of course, let's talk about the immigration umbrella of executive orders that we saw yesterday. What else did we see other than birthright citizenship?
Right. So there was a number of issues related to immigration. I'll just run down them. So declaring a national emergency at the border. Now that's important because that allows then the president more powers under a couple of federal statutes. There was also clarifying the military's role in the border security, which is interesting, meaning that it looks like President Trump is going to be moving to try and use the military down on the southern border, designating criminal cartels as terrorists, which is major. Because in a lot of these, remember, with an executive order, it's not an act of Congress. So it's a single order signed by the president. And so by declaring an emergency or declaring these cartels as terrorists, it brings in more power for the president. And then it's up to Congress whether they fund it or not. And so and then, of course, the ending birthright citizenship.
Let's dive more into that one. We've heard a lot that this could be challenged almost immediately. First of all, talk about what birthright citizenship is and how it's protected by the Constitution right now.
Right. So the birthright citizenship is contained in the 14th Amendment. It is a constitutional amendment, and it embodies America's most fundamental premise, which is if you are born on this soil, you are an American citizen, regardless of your parents' origin, their status, whatever. If you're born, and that has been enshrined, that was part of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment coming out of slavery. And so that has actually already been challenged. The ACLU and several others at about 8:30 last night already filed a complaint, or initiated a complaint saying, hey, this is unconstitutional. And that's one thing with an executive order. Although it's something that just the president can do without anything else, they're often challenged on the notion of the president not having the authority, or it being unconstitutional, or there being an issue with the separation of powers. So that one, there'll be others that are challenged, but that one was already challenged.
So, of course, they brought up the issue of ratifying the Constitution so that this could go through. First of all, is that possible? And if so, what would it take for that to happen?
Well, ratification takes so much with the House and Senate and a number of states coming in. So to ratify or to change this amendment is going to be significant. I mean, that's going to be an uphill battle. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it through an executive order. And so, and he may have understood that there was going to be this challenge, but the reality is this is through an executive order, you're not going to be able to undo a constitutional amendment. I think that will lose, and so this may have been to appease the base to say, hey, we're starting, as I said, I made these promises. He signed them in a very public way. That's been unusual. That hasn't happened before. So it was almost the pomp and circumstance. So from a legal challenge, I think he's going to lose that.
I'm glad you had mentioned that because I want to just ask for clarification's sake because we've had a lot of viewers asking, so what is happening right now? He has called this executive order, but at the same time, there's still this constitutional protection for anybody out there that is saying, well, which one do we follow? What happens right now?
Oh, right now, the executive order, it will take some time for it to be implemented if that is the case. Because the executive order, you have to consider that the president is the head of the executive branch of government. And executive orders are directed to the interior. It's how they manage the government. So here to try and take the leap and say we're going to undo a constitutional amendment with an executive order is going to be a challenge. So until the courts sort it out, you do have birthright citizenship.
All right, Whitney, we appreciate it. We know that's a lot to dive into, and there's still more to go. So we're going to have you back to discuss that. Thank you very much for your time.
Sure, good to be here.